The crane, without any emotion, slowly brought the victim towards the stamping machine. It was a steel monster, its iron teeth gaping open, ready to crush anything that dared to trespass. Under the bright sunlight, the stamping machine lit up like a butcher preparing to do his job. 1 second, 2 seconds, the truck was slowly stuffed into the mouth of the machine, as if this were a eating scene in a black comedy. The yellow excavator, like a tireless warrior, entered with a smiling expression. Well, at least if it was possible to smile. With its sturdy hook, it lifted another vehicle, not caring about the existence of the crushed crane. And so, this new car, with an unafraid demeanor, was gently dropped onto the shattered tow truck, like a so-called polite crash. But it's not over yet. The yellow excavator continued its match, pushing and smashing both vehicles as if playing with Legos. Except there was no fun, just dust and oil. Logistics and breakup. Wheels rolled, windows shattered like falling pieces of glass, and the scene was an indescribable mess. Really, if this were a movie, there would definitely be a slow-motion scene, tense background music, and then a loud bam. Oh my, unbelievable! The scene before our eyes was truly a horrifying massacre, but there was also something truly comical about it. The blue crane, now a god of destruction, continued its relentless work. It showed no signs of stopping. With a powerful stretch of its arms, it lifted the red car, a car that was once full of life, now like a victim awaiting its fate. And as if it knew what was coming, the red car was neatly placed in the crane's claws, ready to rush into the rage of the crusher. The scene seemed to come out of an action movie, where the cars were no different from fighters with fate. Just when the red car had not yet called for help, the crane continued its performance, lifting another white car into position. A pristine new car suddenly became the next prey in the crane's game, ferocious green. The two cars, like lambs, slowly entered the mouth of the death crusher without knowing what would happen. The crusher worked with cold precision. A bang sound rang out. The red and white cars were crushed as if they were just pieces of lifeless metal. Scraps of iron flew in all directions, like the fragments of a story without a happy ending. It was terrifying. But if you look at it from another angle, this scene was no different from a game played by giant steel monsters. The crusher roared, and the crane seemed to be working hard at a construction site, but with an extremely haw-haw attitude, as if it was boasting about its strength. Who would have thought that crushing these cars could be both brutal and funny? A merciless torture of steel, but also a moment when anyone who looked at it would have to laugh at its madness. Because no matter what, that crane is still saying, "I am the king of this junkyard." Or, and so, without stopping, the blue crane continued its campaign without any mercy. This time, it decided to test a pure white car, which probably hadn't had the chance to experience life on the streets yet. But don't worry, the white car is not alone, because it will be participating in a strange reunion with the red car and the previously crushed blue car. Now, all three cars are like death rowers, dragged into a breathtaking journey. The crane, like a self-proclaimed king, gently lowered the white car down, not to be friends, but to share the same fate. All three cars are now gathered in an uninvited meeting area under the crusher. And then, the mechanical screech rang out. The crusher was like a hungry monster, opening its mouth to welcome the feast. Boom! A loud bang rang out, and all three cars were torn apart in a powerful squeeze, transformed into a perfectly square piece of iron, no different from a super compact metal block that no one could recognize its previous shape. The scene was no different from a hard jelly-making competition. Only instead of fruit jelly, these were dilapidated cars, crushed into a square that couldn't be more square. It felt like watching an extremely special canning competition, where the cars were no longer heroes on the streets, but just motionless pieces of steel. All that was left was a square piece of iron, which could be brought back to decorate the scrapyard. And that was it. The blue crane must have been happily proud of the work of art it had just created. If there was an award for most beautiful piece of iron, it would have definitely won without any argument.